The buy-to-let strategy that's worked for decades is massively changing, and if you aren't prepared for the huge changes coming to the market in terms of rental law in 2026, not only are you risking your portfolio, you could be walking into a situation that could leave you completely screwed. I'm 29, I currently own 2 buy-to-let properties with the plans to buy 2 more in the next 12 months, but this new law's forcing me to take a look at those numbers again. This changes the entire business model for investors like us. I'll be taking away the complexities of the Renters' Rights Act to tell you exactly what it means for your bank account, how I'm going to protect my assets, but then some actionable steps that you can take to prepare for what's coming. As of October the 27th, 2025, it isn't a proposal anymore, it's law. The government has announced that, of course, it's going to be some of the biggest, most groundbreaking changes that will all take effect from a single day, that being May the 1st, 2026. On that day, 2 things that have supported the private rental market for decades is getting scrapped. First one, Section 21, no fault evictions. So for years, Section 21 was a landlord safety net. It gave you a degree of certainty that after the end of, let's say, a 1-year contract or the end of a fixed term, you could get your property back without needing to give a reason. So whether you wanted to sell, whether you wanted to do a big refurbishment, or whether you just knew that a tenant was about to become a headache, it gave you some flexibility, it gave you a way out.
Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
As of the 1st of May 2026, it's gone. So the last day you can serve a Section 21 is the 30th of April 2026. After that, it's a thing of the past, and there are only particular circumstances where you are able to get your property back in that way. Secondly, it's the end of the assured short-hold tenancy, so the end of fixed-term contracts. So rather than tenants being on 6-month agreements, 12-month agreements, from the 1st of May, all new and existing tenancies are going to become periodic. So a rolling contract, month to month, with no end date. So rather than both you and the tenants knowing when the agreements end, it means tenants can potentially stay in the property forever. Don't get me wrong, I know the upsides to tenants. It gives them a lot more flexibility, and it's not something I'm dead set against, but it's something to be aware of, where essentially if it's something where you want to get your property back, it's something that has to be well proven in court, or there has to be a valid reason if you wanted the tenancy to come to an end. This is something that's going to affect 11 million renters, 2 million landlords, so you need to make sure that you're keeping your strategy updated and in line, because if you're basing it on the old strategy, the old rules, the old ways, then you're about to walk into a minefield. You need to make some adjustments, which I'll go through in a little bit. So what does this actually mean for your bank balance, your stress levels? So let's start off with Section 21. So without it, every single eviction will need to be done using Section 8, basically meaning you've got to have a valid reason and you've got to be ready to prove it in court. Some of the key reasons being you either want to use the property for yourself or a family member looking to sell. Tenants are 2 months or more in rent arrears. They're causing serious nuisance, antisocial behaviour, or they don't have a legal right to rent in the UK. Other aspects being, obviously, if they breach like their tenancy agreement, or if they're causing just a general nuisance, damaging the property in some way, but obviously that's on you to be able to prove in court. Let's look at an example. So your tenants just stopped paying you rent. You've got to wait 2 months for them to be in arrears. You've got to apply for a notice of possession, where the court will probably give the tenants about 4 weeks to leave the property, so we're at 3 months. Courts are in a massive backlog as well, meaning that to get that is probably going to take longer. So this is a process that could easily drag on months, year, and this is a time where you're not going to be getting any rent, you're going to be paying your mortgage. But on top of that, even if it comes to the day of the court hearing, the tenants could make you a payment, which brings them below that 2-month mark. And that's all based off of if they actually leave as well. You might have to get a notice of eviction, which will take a lot longer as well. Then you've got the move to rolling tenancies, which, don't get me wrong, it gives tenants a lot of security and flexibility, but it kills any certainty for a landlord. So a tenant can just give 2 months notice at any point and walk away. But how are you supposed to plan for a big refurbishment when you have no idea when the property is going to be empty, especially when a lot of landlords out there do only own one property alongside a full-time job? On top of that, you'll have to be more mindful on rent increases. The new law says you can only increase rent once per year. You have to give 2 months notice to be able to do it. Of course, it has to be in line with the area. And tenants will also have an easier way to challenge any increase they think is unfair at a tribunal. but it's just something that will obviously add to the paperwork, potential disputes, make things more difficult. And if that wasn't enough, this is all happening as other pressures are building. So from late 2025, councils, local authorities, they'll have stronger powers to investigate landlords, demand documents, enter business premises to make sure you're following the rules, with fines for first offences being up to £7,000, but for repeat offenders being up to £40,000. But again, this being quite a good thing in my personal opinion, just being that if you're a landlord like me who does like to provide a good home and it's legal compliant, then you shouldn't have anything to worry about with this. But if you're prepared, it's not the end of the world. It's the people that ignore this, they're the ones that struggle to adapt, struggle to change, and the ones that get caught out. But if you are one of those people willing to make those changes, then here are some steps that I'll break down to help you keep on top of your portfolio and keep you as profitable as ever. First tip is get obsessed with your paperwork. So documentation is your new best friend. Since every eviction now means proving your case, your record keeping has to be perfect, documenting everything from rent payments, every email with your tenant, every repair request, every inspection. You want to keep digital paper copies of gas certificates, electrical installation condition reports, proof you protected the deposit, because as we mentioned, with a perfect paper trail, any claim that you make in court is likely to fail, and you want to be able to make sure that you're prepared and protected yourself against the worst possible case scenario. So next tip, so your tenant screening needs to be bulletproof, it needs to be bang on. Picking the right tenant has always been important, but now it's probably the single most critical thing you'll do. You can't rely on Section 21 to fix a bad choice anymore. Your screening's got to be tough, you've got to go deeper on referencing, credit checks, affordability, but you've got to be careful as well, because the new Act also has strict regulations and rules against discrimination, of course. So you're banned from having blanket policies like no kids. Your screening's got to be tough, but it's also got to be fair and, of course, legal. Next tip being to review your portfolio. Take a hard look at every single property you own. Ask yourself, which of these are my biggest risks? Do I have properties with difficult tenants, constant problems, or they could be in the future? Do I want to sell in the near future as well? You might need to make some tough calls, some quick decisions, but it's something that you should really consider, just because obviously the rules going on from May 26 onwards, they're going to make this much harder to do in the future. Next tip being to know the new law inside and out. So this is beyond the paperwork, it's just about knowing the rights, the changes. You need to become an expert on this. The fact that you need to know that you need to give 2 months notice if you're going to increase rent, the fact that from May the 1st, you're legally required to provide all tenants with a new information sheet detailing their rights. If you have a tenancy that started before then, you've also got to give them a specific government-produced information sheet. If you make any mistakes here, then it can mean, if you do ever need to, your eviction case can be thrown out of court. Next tip, and this is a pretty big one, so become a communication expert. So a good relationship with your tenant isn't, and it shouldn't be, a nice to have. It's your best tool to reduce risk. So good, clear communication can solve problems before they blow up into something that winds up with tenants stop paying their rent, winds up in court. So be professional, be responsive, and be fair. And this will help you get, and it will help you keep the best tenants, being the goal for any landlord. Of course, if you need to, get professional advice. For anyone with more than one property, the days of DIY landlording, they're probably becoming quite slim. The rules, the compliance, the regulations, it's just getting so complicated. If you have a professional regulated letting agent that can help you keep on top of these things, and of course you have solicitors as well that can help guide you through how this will impact your actual portfolio itself and navigate the legalities. The Renters' Rights Act isn't a small tweak. It's a complete tear down and rebuild of the private rental market. It gives tenants more security, more flexibility. I love that it pushes out landlords that don't provide good quality, safe homes, but of course it does bring more complexity, more cost, more risk. But it is something where you can't just be a passive investor anymore. You've got to be on top of it. You've got to be active, professional, organised. But the landlords that bury their heads in the sand, the changes, don't change anything about how they manage their portfolio. They're the ones that are going to be caught out. They're the ones that are going to screw up. The ones that take it seriously and take the next few months to adapt, professionalise their business, there is still opportunity here to be had. But yeah, in the long run, a more stable professional market could actually benefit good landlords. But let me know down in the comments what your plans are. Do you plan on buying? Do you plan on selling? Do you plan on waiting? And if you've enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like, the subscribe button for more content relating to property investing, buy to let. My plans over the next 12 months are to buy a couple more, so I'll bring you on that journey with me. But If you don't want to miss that, definitely hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching. If you want to check out another one of my videos, check this one out here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.